Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. This evening, Nutmeg and I want to show you what our garden looks like at the end of July. And I'm going to say our garden because Nutmeg loves his little garden. He loves it so much. He loves all the bugs, all the birds. So it's equally his as it is mine. And we're out here in the evening because it's just so hot during the day. And now we kind of have the sun going down and it's still light enough out to show y'all everything going on, but there's some new projects and new things in the works, so let's just get to it. Nutmeg has already discovered the new project in the garden. This is his first time seeing it actually, because we just moved this out here about 2 hours ago. But my husband took some scrap wood that he had and he built me a seedling table. After I show y'all the garden, I'm going to go ahead and get this all set up. And I got a shade cloth. At first I got one that was too big, so I had to get a smaller one. It's gonna fit over the top here, maybe have an opening at the bottom. And then this bottom shelf I'm going to use to store all of my pots so that I get them off of our porch because my husband does not like them there. But I'm really excited about this. It was a super easy build, and if I really want to, we could put another one here, but for now, I'm just so excited to have this and to be able to start seeds and have some shade. What do you think about it? Do you like the table? Do you like it? He's still checking it out. He might be here a while. But right next to it, this bed has been a disaster so far. I do have my sesame plant here, and it has been flowering and producing for me, which is great. Unfortunately, something keeps eating the leaves. I don't know what, because I never see anything, but ever since I put this trellis and this stick here, it's been left alone. So whatever it is big enough that this has hindered it. So maybe it's a bird, I don't even know. But I also have these baby ones. Here's the other one. So I have a couple of baby sesame plants that are doing okay. I'm thinking maybe they'll pick up once it cools down a bit, but I have harvested a couple rounds of sesame already. Everything else here is dead, pretty much. My blueberry plants unfortunately died. So there's that. I mean, I'll just fill this with fall crops and then figure out what to do with it in the spring. The pepper bed here also is not doing well. I had a couple pepper plants actually die. I haven't had produce off of this thing in months, whereas my other pepper bed here and the cayenne bed, they're thriving, absolutely thriving. So I don't know what is wrong with this. Something with the soil, I guess. This was a newer batch of soil that we got. So what I'm gonna do is seriously amend this and amend this one come fall and spring. So hopefully next year my crops look like this, because this is just so much better. These paprikas are doing amazing. These serranos, amazing. Sweet alyssum, which really doesn't love it too hot, is doing great. The chives, amazing. Got some really nice marigolds in here. I did just harvest a bunch of my shishitos and pepperoncinis, so that's looking a little bare. I also harvested tonight 2 of my leeks. They were huge, kind of about this size. They did so well next to the peppers this year. And my lemon drop here is doing amazing. I'm absolutely in love with this plant. It just doesn't stop growing. I've been saving seeds. It's been doing so well, so I'm really happy about that as well. And then of course my volunteer milkweed. So if you watched my videos last year, you would have seen that I had a milkweed plant in the corner there, same flowers as this. And I guess I didn't catch all of the seeds because there are several plants in this bed, which is fine. It's doing great. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on here. I really like how full everything has been. It's all blended in together. Same with this bed next to it. It's been doing really well. This is almost entirely cayennes in here. And here's one that's just about ready. And then this marigold plant has just kind of gone insane. It's actually hindering a couple of my cayennes right now, some little plants, so I might have to stake this back. But other than that, it's been doing really well. Production hasn't been super fast, but it's picking up a little bit. It looks like something is eating this plant. I don't really know what's going on there, but this side looks really good. So I don't know what happened. I don't know. So we'll keep an eye on that, but happy with the results so far there. The herb bed here has seen better days, I will admit. The sorrel is really not built for hot temperatures, so it wilts a lot during the day. I am going to cut this oregano back because I think it's done flowering, because I have new growth at the bottom here and I really want it to get the sun and energy it deserves. I really think that we're done with these flowers. I don't really see a lot of new ones coming up, so that's gonna get a big chop soon. The sage has been doing really well. The rosemary, aside from this little dead patch, has been doing great. Same with the thyme and the marjoram. This parsley's done. It really didn't like the heat, so I'll just plant a new one in the fall. Y'all saw over winter like how big that thing got, so not really worried there. All right, so over here is my blackberry bed. Not too much to say about this one. The blackberries are still actively growing as plants. Do have some pest pressure. I'll have to figure out what that is actually. It's the first I've noticed that. Blackberry season is done here in Texas, so we'll just have to wait till next year. I think we installed this since the last time I showed you the blackberries, so that's at least new and exciting. The plants are really happy, and the little companion flower plants I have back here are pretty much done flowering, so that's everything there is there. Artichoke bed is kind of the same way. I did experiment with cutting one back early because I got no production this year, so we'll see what happens. I have some herbs filling in here and there. The real star here is my lemongrass. It's just loving the heat, really doesn't need that much water, and it's just been doing really well. Next to it is my asparagus bed. This is my asparagus. It's not very big yet, but that's okay. It's still shooting up new shoots like this one, so I'm pretty happy about that. I do have a pepper in here. This is supposed to be a purple bell, and it is actually 2 plants, so we'll see what happens there. My Swiss chard from the winter is still going super strong. I think I bought these plants in November, so we're coming up on a year of having them here in the ground, which is really cool. Basil is doing super well. This isn't even my biggest basil plant, but super happy. And then in the back I have a parsley that was struggling with powdery mildew at first, so I kept chopping it back, but now it's doing pretty well, which is nice. Next to it is my strawberry and kale bed. The kale honestly has just become a trap plant at this point, so all of the pests kind of gravitate toward the kale and pretty much leave the strawberries alone. The thyme is doing really well back here. Sage not so much because it got eaten by something in the spring, but now it's doing okay. It's growing back a little bit, but really this thyme is awesome. I think it loves the early afternoon shade, so it doesn't get super hot, because I do think this was one of the German winter thyme that I got. Here is my beans. You would have seen these in a recent video that I did where I talked about how I couldn't believe that I could actually plant beans in the middle of the summer here in Texas, and they've grown a bit since that video. We've got some true leaves here. The edamame are doing really well. I think there's one sprouting here because I did plant some new ones, so we have that. Some of these carrots are ready to harvest. The scallions are ready, just waiting for the right time to use those pretty much. And then these carrots did flower, and honestly, I think they're just gonna drop seeds everywhere in this bed, and I'm not really mad about it. I don't mind. So there's that. Over here is my cherry tomato bed with a giant basil plant sprinkled in. I do have some leeks, I have some marigolds, some vincas, and some really nice cherry tomatoes. They are just ripening up. Lots of the large red cherries, and then these are the black cherry tomato. I have a couple of the black strawberry as well, and some little sun golds in the back. And more importantly, I have my garden friend. So here's my nice little garden spider. Next to it are my 2 slicing tomato beds, which haven't been off to the best start. These basil are still doing super well, though they're trying to flower, so I'm going to pinch them off. My Canastrino tomatoes have been doing really well, though not as big as I wanted them to be. Maybe I just didn't water them enough. I do have some leeks in here which are doing well. The Romas I'm slowly pulling out in favor of this adorable little sun sugar tomato. I'm very excited about how well this one is doing. It seems to be pretty disease resistant because it's right next to my disease ridden Romas, and it's doing great. I have been pruning off some of the lower leaves just to help out with that, but it has lots of fruit set, and I think it really enjoys right now being shaded by this basil plant in the worst of the summer heat. So that's doing really well. Next to it, this bed really hasn't been doing as well. I think it has part of that batch of dirt that just didn't do great and wasn't very nutrient dense, so they kind of got off to a rocky start. The watermelon beefsteak tomatoes from M.I. Gardner are doing the best. These are the first flowers that I've seen on them, and then it's just kind of not as great from there on out. The terracotta tomatoes just look almost a little sickly. I don't think it's disease. I really just think they're nutrient deficient, even though I have been fertilizing these more often than the rest of my garden. I've been fertilizing this bed every 2 weeks. And then over here is the saddest case, and I was really looking forward to this one. This is the mortgage lifter tomato. I'm hoping with the cooler weather it might make a comeback, but as a larger tomato variety, I don't have too much faith that there'll be enough time left in the season. But on a more positive note, my marigold did give me some little marigolds, and then I have some baby vincas in here, so that's super cute. Next to it, this is, or was, my onion bed, and I've just kind of planted some random things in here. This is an acorn squash, which is trailing out into my yard. And then this is a new experiment, so I saw this online anyway, and I decided to put a tomato cage on one of my squash. So this is a climbing squash. This is a straight neck squash. I did hand pollinate that today, so hopefully it was a success. And so far it's been doing really well, really enjoying climbing up here. And then I have just some sweet potatoes over here. I've never grown them before, so just letting them do their thing for now. Over here I have the tomatillos, and they have seen better days. This plant, I'm pretty sure, is gonna die. It does not look great. Some of the ones in the middle are doing okay. I do still have some production in here, but they really can't handle the extreme heat. They're really discolored. They wilt really easily. Though this is my best basil plant. This one is crazy. I'll show a nutmeg for scale here. This basil is absolutely insane. It is the happiest one that I have. I think because it just has the most room and the most sunlight. So definitely keeping that in mind for next year. Even though I don't need as many basil plants, I'm probably gonna do more just because they're so happy, and I don't mind sharing too. I'll probably make my husband take some into work to share with his coworkers. But yeah, that's kind of the sad sight. That's the tomatillos. The companion plants in here are doing pretty well, the marigolds and the rosemary. So that's at least a win for that. Next to it here, we have a couple more tomatillos, but mostly this bed is my cucumber bed. So here's one that's ripening up. And right now isn't the best time for cucumbers because it's actually a little too hot and they're becoming bitter, but that's okay because I have actually started my succession sown cucumbers for the fall. So I have one here, one there, and 2 over there, so 4 plants. I had 5 plants here, which produced a lot of cucumbers, so I think 4 will be plenty for the fall. And I also have a lot of carrots planted in between them, and new carrots started over there. Behind them is my watermelon bed. And this bed has been kind of weird because the watermelons really seem to be hydrophobic. If I water them too much, they actually end up dying back. I've been watering this section more because of this zucchini, but it really just doesn't seem happy no matter what I do. So I really don't think I'm gonna get much or anything out of this plant, but I do have some watermelons that are doing really well. So I have this one here. I have a red one here. That one's orange, by the way. This one's gonna be my first red one. And then I've already harvested a couple, but here's my last remaining hanging orange watermelon. So I just made these little slings or hammocks for them, and it helps support the watermelon so that it doesn't just break the whole stem, fall, ruin the whole thing. So that's what's going on with that bed there. Over here, this is a similar concept to the watermelon where I'm trying to grow this pumpkin up so that I can hopefully get a hanging pumpkin. That would be kind of cool. I mean, I do have a spaghetti squash, I think, in here as well, but I do want to show you my one pumpkin success so far. It's so big. It's been growing really, really fast and taking up a really cool shape and color. I did prop it up off of the dirt so it wouldn't rot, but this has been a lot of fun to grow, and I feel like for all this foliage, I gotta have something to show for it. So that has been a lot of fun. Lastly, over here, this is going to be my beans. So I have, this is the original bean bed. In the middle here is savory, which has kind of gotten out of control, but the bees love it, so just gonna let them do their thing. But these are the Klima bush beans. I don't have any beans on them currently, but I have them. I have the soybeans, or edamame, and they're actually just starting to produce. Oh, how cute. Gonna wait till they plump up a little bit before eating them. And then finally, is my favorite, the Chinese green noodle bean. They are doing so well, completely climbed over the trellis here. I did recently harvest them, but these flowers are just about done, so I will be getting some beans in there soon. Okay, so that is it for our garden tour today. If you like this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything else from me and Nutmeg and our shenanigans here in the garden. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.